Welcome back to the Military Retirement
Welcome
Podcast.
back.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of big stuff going on in the news. But first, I got to ask you, man, are you still, you're in Italy, back in Italy, right?
I'm back in Italy. I just left Germany last week. Had an interesting trip. Lost my bags, meaning
That's
my
right.
my luggage, not my bags. But yeah, it was interesting. And then I finally got them right before I took off and came back. So at least I got my bags back, and I carried them back the whole way.
Okay. Awesome. So, I got to ask, man, with this whole thing on, with like the new Pope and all that, how crazy is Italy going right now? Being that you guys are nearby. I mean, you're not in Rome, but you're nearby the whole Vatican and all that. Is it going pretty crazy out there?
It's not going crazy. I know the day that they were doing it, we sat and watched, and then they postponed it for like another day. And we were literally out grocery shopping. My wife had her phone on with the live stream going on, and they were announcing the Pope, and the American Pope came up, and um, it was funny. It was kind of funny. I was like, oh, so we've got a U.S. President, Donald Trump, and now we've got a U.S. Pope, and we're about to take over the world.
You know that's what they were saying. A big reason why they didn't want to elect an American Pope, because they didn't want too many superpowers in the mix. And I get it. They're, yes, superpowers. The Pope and the president, of course, have tons of influence over the world. But I mean, if there's a separation of church and state, as there should be, then I don't foresee them kind of overlapping. Who knows, man? I'm curious as to how it's going to be, how what's going to happen. I'm very curious.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's interesting, but yeah, no, it's not a lot of craziness going on. That day was kind of big, and surprisingly enough, a lot of people were out doing their thing, and it wasn't as quiet on the streets as I expected it to be. But yeah, I mean, it happens, and it's been, I don't know how many years it's been since there's been, you know, uh, I mean, really, an American Pope, like never really, right?
Ever.
They've only been around
Ever.
for 100 years.
Yeah, right. Shoot. So that was kind of exciting, man. It was cool to see that. But one thing I did want to bring up, and this was, I dropped a video on this yesterday on the Green Logbook, and I saw it published, and I saw like the press and all that stuff, the press conference with the president signing the executive orders, and I was like, you know what, I need to kind of make a video of this and just let folks know, because this is huge. I've made a trip to this place in the past, and it looks kind of run down. It's over in Los Angeles. Right, so let me share this, bringing this onto the stage here. So this is an article. So President Trump signs executive order for more veteran housing at West LA VA campus. So for those who don't know, the West LA VA campus is 388 acres large. Okay. And a large part of that campus is being leased out to UCLA for their baseball field, right? Baseball fields are not small. I mean, you got outfields, you got infields, you got stadium. So a large part of that is being utilized for the UCLA baseball team. And a large part of that is being leased out to a private school, the Brentwood School up in LA, which again houses their school grounds, their football field, the sports complex and all that. So it's a pretty large chunk. And this land was supposed to be utilized for the VA. So years ago, they had a VA complex, which was the VA campus, and it housed homeless veterans. It provided medical services for veterans. Just an entire campus, right? If you would imagine what a university campus would be, it'd be a campus for veterans. So a large part of that is being utilized for these things that are not veteran related. Executive order was signed saying we're going to bring this back to veterans. And let me pull up the see, stop the screen here, and I'm gonna pull up the executive order that was signed. Here we go. Keeping promises to veterans, keeping promises to veterans and establishing a national center for warrior independence is what it is. Um, very, very good read. I mean, if you all like reading executive orders, but it really brings it back to number one, the veterans, the reason why this 388-acre complex was set aside, and it's bringing it back to number one, the veterans itself, not UCLA, not a private, wealthy private school or anything like that. It is bringing it back to house homeless veterans and provide services for them, which I couldn't. This is like I love this, man. I'm all about this, and I've like I mentioned, I've driven by there before, and it is run down, man. It used to be like a huge thing back in like the 50s, maybe.
Yeah.
And it just the chapel there. I mean, it just looks so run down, man. And they just need to build it up. And I always wondered why is it like this? Why has nobody done anything to build this thing back up? Now funds are going to be going back into this to house the veterans. So I'm completely on board with this, and I can't wait to make a visit up there once they start building all this stuff up, man.
Yeah, lots of executive orders going into play right now in a lot of different directions. I know the Secretary of the VA, Mr. Collins,
Hmm.
is pushing out a lot of videos and a lot of information. I really like the transparency that the VA is giving us lately,
Yeah,
and a lot of just putting information out there and public service announcements and things like that, and keeping people informed about what's actually going on, regardless of how good or bad, or how you take that information or what you feel about that information. I feel like the transparency from the VA right now is enormous. Like, it's huge. I haven't seen it before in my
it
time,
is.
so I really like that. I like the way the government is actually being a lot more transparent with a lot of things as well. Many people are like, oh, the Doge thing is really crazy and it shouldn't be happening, but they're also opening up the curtain and showing a lot of things in the background. So things like this that come to the surface, really supporting veterans, supporting veteran homelessness specifically. We've talked about it on the podcast before many times,
Yeah,
and it's a huge topic. It's one of those like top 5 topics that really needs to be addressed, and I feel like this is one step in the right direction to address that.
oh, 100%, man. And here I'm going to share this here as well. This is the spot I drove by, and let me see if I bring this up. But it is pretty run down, man. Let me share the screen here. Yeah. So this is the chapel. I mean, you can see how run down that thing is, man. Just
Yeah.
it definitely needs some repairs, and it's like gated off. That's just part of the campus, right? And I've driven by there, and I'm like, damn, why don't they do something with this? But I'm glad that money is going to be poured into that now, and just somewhere to provide these veterans, uh, some services. As you drive down the road, I mean, on the side of the roads, you got tents upon tents upon tents with American flags on them. And it's kind of heartbreaking. Right? I wish I could do something with these folks, but there's only so much, right? Unless the government gets involved somehow.
Yeah, that's right. I do want to shift gears real quick and say 2 things.
Shift
First
them.
and foremost, Navy cop let us know that it is Mother's Day. If you're out there,
Yes, it
happy
is
Mother's Day to everyone,
Mother's Day.
and flowers to all the moms out there. So happy Mother's Day for everybody. The second
Yeah.
thing I want to
Heck
shift
yeah.
gears to is this thing. It's on the VA.gov site, and
I
I have
saw
this on my
that.
phone, so I'm
I
pulling it
saw
up
that,
on my
man.
phone. But yeah, they're trying to merge basically pro athletes with veterans, and they're doing
Yep.
that on the basis of pro athletes and veterans having similar experiences once they take off the uniform, meaning taking off the sports uniform or
Mhm.
taking off the military uniform, and their transition back into regular civilian life after the fact. I'm sure pro athletes in a lot of cases have a little less up and down, and they're probably a little bit more financially stable, hopefully, unless they're Mike Tyson, maybe in the 90s.
For the first go
But
around, yeah.
yeah, first time around. But
Yeah.
in a lot of cases, they're a little bit more financially stable. Funny enough, a lot of pro athletes nowadays, and it kind of makes you wonder, like, why we do things like this, and why
Mhm.
we talk about personal branding a lot, because of the fact that your personal brand is something that'll help you expand your network, expand your opportunities. That's what a lot of pro
Right.
players are doing now as well. They're getting out there, they're getting on the Facebooks and the TikToks and the Instagrams and putting their stuff out there. A lot of them after the fact, after they've, left their uniform of what sport they play. But a lot of them are
Mhm.
doing that early on in their careers. But you see a lot more sports people and people in general just putting out personal brand kind of information for themselves, to be able
Yeah.
to network with other people and expand the opportunities of what they've got available to them. So this is a really interesting thing. It's on the VA site. If you want to go check it out, just look up VA. I think it's called MVP. Yeah, VA MVP.
Yep. So there's only certain places that offer this. So I was looking at this myself yesterday, and me being in San Diego, they don't offer it in San Diego, but they do have an LA
Right.
chapter. So you'd have to just kind of look up chapters. But I mean, they're out there. If you're looking to make the trip, if you're looking to do a workout, if you're looking to connect with like pro or previously pro players, um, yeah, this is it's an awesome program. Awesome. Yeah. I might I mean, I hate driving to LA, man, because the traffic sucks, dude. But if I ever make it up there, this is something I'm gonna look into. It is. So very cool.
Very
So
cool.
John, I'm gonna bring up Michael Pires, man. Michael is here, let's bring up to the stage real quick. I know we got him in the back room. Michael, what's going on, man? How are you? You might be on mute, bro.
Hey, good
There you
morning.
go.
How
You're
are
on mute.
you?
Hey,
Can you
it's
hear me
all
now?
good, man. Hey, good morning, morning. Life is good, man. So
Yeah.
I read your bio, right? Very cool. I mean, we kind of have almost similar paths, right? And this is a room full of chief warrant officers, so the networks might explode, right? So they might all go down because they can't handle the bandwidth here. But tell me a little bit about your journey, man. I know, like the thumbnail says, like 30 days to retire, and that's
Yeah.
something that you send us in your bio or in your in the LinkedIn. I'm curious about that because I don't know if I could tie my shoes in 30 days, man, in the military. Left over right, right over left. Tell
Yeah.
me all
So,
about that, man.
yeah. So, I mean, good morning to you two gentlemen.
Morning.
John, Vic, thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. Special shout out to all the mothers today for Happy Mother's Day. Um,
Absolutely.
so yeah, I'll bring you through the quick backstory. So,
Yeah.
enlisted in 2003, was a combat engineer. Did that for 4 years. Really spent the
Mhm.
majority of that time, deployed. Um, not a lot of CONUS time during that first tour. So got out, was looking for employment as a civilian after the 4-year tour. Then I got involuntarily recalled. State police came to the house, like the whole 9 yards, letters in the mail. At that time, I think in 2008, they were short on combat engineers. There had been a huge, we still had the push, OIF, OEF going on. And so we got recalled, but, I, instead of taking orders to Camp Lejeune that I really didn't want to go to, I shifted, and basically there were some options. So I enlisted into the AR program, Active Reserve Program, and I had to become an administrator. So something I truly hated my first 4 years. I did not like admin. I did not like the support that we got. I didn't think that they did anything important. But that's what was best for me and my family at the time. So I did that. Yeah, I went through a couple tours, NCOIC, admin chief, and then in 2015, I shifted to the warrant officer program, became a personnel officer, and did that up through retirement. So that's kind of my story. But as far as like the 30 days to retire type thing, yeah, it was. it's a long story. And basically what had happened was I got sent out to Miramar in 2018, MCAS Miramar.
Mhm.
So I was like site support there, supporting
Yep.
the fourth MA units that are out there. And then there's like one in Lemoore, Northern California, Fresno area.
Mhm.
So I got a call from the monitor in 2020, beginning of 2020. He's like, yeah, we're going to keep you there another year, which was expected. I was like, all right, yeah, it's going to be a 3-year tour. And then like a
Right.
couple months later, calls me back. He's like, hey man, I need you to move in like 60 days. And I'm like, 60 days. But again, these things happen. I mean, both of you probably know, like
Yeah.
they use the crutch of
Needs
needs
of the
of the
Marine
Marine
Corps
Corps,
needs.
which is
Yep.
sometimes true and then sometimes not true. But yeah, so I got moved, but I had to geo batch because the orders were for like October of 2020. School year starts in San Diego in August, or I wasn't
That's
going to
right.
pull my kids out of school. So did that, plan was to move the family with me in 21. That didn't happen. Family started going through some stuff, had some EFMP issues.
Mhm.
So ultimately I, was kind of told that they were going to get me back to Cali in 22. So I was like, all right, I'll just do the geo batch thing for a while. That didn't happen. 2022, I asked for orders out of there, had a deal in place, I guess, not necessarily a deal, but, working through the chain and all that. And then that fell through as well. So then I had to stay another year. So I ended up being a geo batch for almost 4 years. And then in May of 24, things had got kind of bad at home back here with the family. And
Mhm.
I ended up getting put on hums for 6 months. So I got to come out to California at that same time, or shortly before that. There was a unit in Pendleton. I think you saw in my bio, 4th LAR.
Yep.
Their perso had been relieved for misconduct, and 4th Marine Division was like, hey, yeah, we want to send you there. Like, it should be a perfect fit, right? Billet gaps open. You got a replacement inbound to your current unit, and this meets the needs of the Marine Corps and your family, right? But I think throughout the previous couple of years, the interactions with the monitor really got to a toxic point where he was
Right.
just like, nah, not going to happen. So
Mm.
yeah, CG. I mean,
It's the
CG
worst, man.
called. Yeah, like a bunch, just a bunch of BS, like childish stuff. Like, hey, let's do what's right. But
Right.
anyway, so Hums period comes to an end in November, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? Because I had PCS orders to go somewhere else, and I was also on LIMDU too, right? So had all
Yeah.
these things going on,
Everything going on.
everything
Wow.
going on. So the earliest date I could have submitted for retirement was December 1st in 24.
Mhm.
So I had you're a legal guy. I know you got the legal
Yeah.
background. So I had an abeyance on my record though. So I couldn't
Mm.
submit for retirement until like November 15th.
Oh, man.
So like these guys were like, it finally got removed on November 15th.
Uh-huh.
And like, I'm like, all right, what do you want me to do? Because I got orders to report at 30 November, or
Right.
these guys are trying to get me to retire 1 December. It's like, what am I going to submit Appendix J 15 days out? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, so they just ran an EAS on me like November, man. I'm telling you, like I was 22-year guy, right? 20 years of active service, and they're like,
Yeah.
nope. So these dudes ran an EAS ECC on me for 30 November. So I'm like, oh man, so I guess I'm not getting retirement. I'm not getting anything. And then, basically I loosely requested MAST to the CG,
Yeah.
but I actually never filed the paperwork. He just called me and it's like, he made a call and he's like, yeah, this is BS. So they pushed it out to 31 December, basically to allow me to submit an Appendix J. So I
Uh-huh.
submitted it like the first week of December for summer of 25, right? Like, hey, like, can I
Mhm.
get enough time to maybe, go through the transition period?
Right.
And then didn't hear anything. Obviously, Christmas, New Year's kind of buckled up to that. And it's like New Year's Eve, and I'm on the phone with these guys at MMSR 5, right, retirement branch.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we don't know. Your stuff hasn't been approved yet. We don't know what's going to happen. And then I was like,
Oh, shoot,
okay.
man.
So I wake up.
Cutting it close.
I wake up on New Year's Day and I see that they ran something had cycled through, and I had an approved retirement for 1 February, which is not even remotely close to what I asked for. So there you go, like approved on 1 January, effective date 1 February. There's your 30-day gap.
Wow. So what would have happened then? Like if okay, you got your Appendix J, right? But you had to almost request MASH for an Appendix J. What was the other option? Like they just
no,
like,
yeah, like
wait,
I had
just
the EAS.
EAS?
If I would have said nothing, they were like, yeah, you can just drop to the IRR and figure it out, man. Like,
Oh man.
yeah.
And that wouldn't give you any kind of retirement status then, would it?
No, I mean, yeah, I still had the time. I mean, my understanding, and I did. I mean, I made a ton of calls. You know what I mean? I talked to, I submitted a congruent. I submitted an IG complaint. Like, I just got the answer to the congruent in March, and the IG complaint is still open. I submitted those in the fall of 24. Like, so it's pretty crazy. Like, the whole situation is just. I just feel like some people wanted to flex some power, and and they did it. So I guess if
you're good now, right?
That's what happens.
Like you're like actually retired now, like officially retired, right? Like not.
Yeah, I'm officially retired. Yeah.
Okay, good.
As of one, yeah. So I mean, yeah, I had the retirement 1 February. I had to jump through hoops those really because we didn't come back from the New Year's break until I think the 4th or the 5th. So I'm like trying to get medical done, final physical done. Never mind trying to get like a VA claim done. That's kind of why I wanted to come on the show now. Like, hey, like these are the things you need to prioritize because like this is what's important, right? This is what's gonna help you. Don't prioritize work over yourself and your family, like, so. But yeah, I had to get through TRS.
And I want to kind of underscore something real quick.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. I just want to underscore something real quick. Like at this point, when you're going through all this, you're already a seasoned personnel professional, right? Like you've already been through the ringer. You've already understood the personnel process. And for you as a seasoned personnel, warrant officer, like if you have those kind of troubles, if you hit those kind of roadblocks, like what are some of the things that we're going to dig into it, but what are some of the, like, what did you walk away from with that? Like if you had to look back and be like, wow, like if I had to process somebody else's retirement and they were going through the same thing, like what kind of things would I do for them? What kind of directions would I point them in to get some of this stuff straightened out?
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine, like if I was a lance corporal or a sergeant, it's like, hey, like what would have been the scenario for them, right? Like I know that you don't really retire at that grade, but still, like even separating, what I mean? Like Victor can tell you, I've processed thousands of people for admin separation, right? Thousands. Those guys do bad things, all right? I don't have a blemish on my record or anything like that. Those Marines get, I'd say 4 to 12 months probably to separate. And they did something wrong, right? They did something that is derogatory on their record. Like it just doesn't, you know what I mean? The whole situation doesn't add up. But and that's what it is. I mean, I think that they use the crutch of, I think they said that I denied orders, which is not accurate. I never denied orders. There's nothing in writing that says I denied orders, but that's kind of the crutch they use. And I think that's what they routed up through the legal team. But and again, like
mentally, what was that like with you and your family? So you're geobatching, right?
Yeah.
You were at Miramar.
Mm-hmm.
Where was your family at this time?
Here in California.
Cali. Okay.
Yeah.
So
we moved here together in 2018.
Okay. And then I imagine that there's a lot of like mental stress going on with all this. Can you walk us through that? Like what was you and like, without getting into too many specifics, right? But stuff that you and your family were going through.
Yeah, so the first year of GeoBatch wasn't terrible because we still had that, we had that hope that, hey, this is going to be temporary. You know what I mean? Like kids are in school. My wife works and all that. So trying to juggle. I mean, for my spouse, obviously, like it was extremely challenging. Being a single parent for 2 then 3.5, almost 4 years at one point when you really only planned to do it for so long. So yeah, like I said, everything in 2024 just came crashing down. It was just like the end all, like from my family's perspective, their overall mental health, and then kind of me. I mean, I was like I was living in my, like, I don't care who here, I don't care who's on here, I don't care who hears it, honestly, because I think it needs to get out. Like I was living in my office in Massachusetts because I didn't like. I mean, yeah, I had an apartment I'm sorry, I had an apartment, but like I was never there. Like I just stayed in the office because I just kind of drowned myself in work, and obviously that's not good for your health. Like to do that, the
Right.
job was busy. I mean, it was a regiment, and I really liked the people I worked with there. Had really good commanders, but yeah, I mean, I would just sleep in there a lot of like 3 nights a week. That's not healthy, right?
Yeah.
To never detach
No.
yourself from that.
Right. Right.
And then, yeah, it kind of helped me.
Beyond the fact that Devon's is super expensive, right? I mean, I was stationed at Devon's for almost 4 years. It's super expensive there either way.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So, and it's expensive here in California, right? So you're paying for, you're paying a rental in San Diego, and you're paying for, a rental in, Massachusetts. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
it can add up.
Crazy.
But
So
yeah, I mean, and that's one of the reasons I kind of got put on Limdo, like through all this too. Like, yeah, I got a back issue, but it was like mental health type stuff. Like, oh,
mhm.
what's going on? I've tried to always support, and I think anybody you talk to, from any of the units to where I was their admin chief or perso would tell you, like, I'll do anything to take care of the troops. And that's kind of the thing I miss the most, really. It's not the bureaucracy, it's not the BS. It's like it's taking care of the troops and like the training and the learning and development of, those Marines and sailors under your charge. Like that's what I miss the most. So, and I'm fresh.
Yeah.
Like, it's only been like 3 months now. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think we all go through that, right? Because it's not you don't miss. Well, I guess from the Marine Corps standpoint, you don't miss the Marine Corps, you miss the Marines. You miss the people that you were in there with, right?
Yeah.
I don't miss the orders of uniform regulations. I don't miss any of that stuff. You miss, I'm sure John, it feels the same way. You don't miss the Army, you miss the soldiers themselves, right? Because you had built those relationships, the camaraderie. It felt good to help folks, who needed something, especially you as a perso at one point. You got to push things through in order for people to effectively get orders, to effectively retire, separate, PCS, whatever it is.
Yeah.
They can't do it without you.
Yeah.
So yeah, you miss that. And yeah, I completely get it, because I feel the same way. It's been over a year for me. I completely get it, because I feel the same way all the time. I'm still friends with folks on Facebook who are in the Marine Corps. A lot of the folks I know either recently got promoted to Master Guns or Lieutenant Colonel, and I'm happy for them. But I'm like, man, that's so good, and they're still around that. I wonder what life would have been like for me, but I was so ready at 20 years that I'm like, yeah, it's time for me to go, because I want to try something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Michael, I'm curious, man, about because it happened so quick for you. Where are you with like the whole VA disability thing? Have you already submitted that? Did you get a chance to talk to anybody yet?
So I spent the whole month of January kind of going through, getting through TRS, trying to do medical, final physical, dental, all that stuff. Go to my appointment, my like Limdo appointments. I've been trying to get an MRI for like a year, and it's funny, I got approved for the MRI on January 27th, right?
Yeah.
So like I went there the next day, got it done, and of course TRICARE screwed it up. It was supposed to be like 2 regions of my back, and they typed in the wrong. They approved it, but they typed in one for my lower back and one for my neck. So when I went to get it, I only got one of them, and then whatever. It was the more important one, but I was able to get that in, before the 31st of January, which would have been my last day. So I was happy about that. But yeah, I mean, I really spent the whole month trying to get all that stuff done, and was able to. Yeah, I think my last appointment was like January 30th was like my final physical. Got that paperwork signed off, and then so the people on camp, like, luckily I was by a base, because if I was on like Fort Devens, I don't know how I would have had to go TAD or something, because there's like if you were there, John, like, like there's nothing,
Yeah, you literally got to go to West Point to do that stuff.
Yeah, or Groton,
Oh,
I guess,
damn.
naval base. But yeah, luckily I'm by, and the people on Camp Pendleton were awesome. Like the TRS people, super accommodating. They're like,
Mhm.
"When's your EAS?" And I'm like, "I know, I got it." They're like, "You're
Yeah.
supposed to be here, 6 months prior." And I'm like, "Listen, like,
Right.
I try, you know what I mean? I wish I could, but this is what it is." And then like all the people in like, I don't know if you guys know Bruce Carroll and his crew, Tony Wolf, like those guys in
It
the,
sounds familiar. Sounds familiar.
yeah, they do like a lot of they help with like resumes and jobs and things like that.
Mhm.
Really active on, that stuff. But those guys are really awesome. And then the VSO that I worked with, but anyway, where I am with the VA stuff is, and this is probably the main reason I wanted to come on today and kind of talk to you guys and kind of share, my story to try to help, anyone who's transitioning here in the future. Like okay, so you've probably covered this on previous shows, but to get the BDD, right, the benefits on your discharge date, you have to submit your claim 90 days prior to your EAS, right?
Yep.
So in a case like mine, it's not even an option. Like approval 30 days before EAS date, like it wasn't even an option for me, right? So, but that's not really something they cover. And I think a lot of what MNRAs had said about my particular case was centered around, yeah, we get that he's on limb yeah, we get this stuff, but he can just get care through the VA. Cool, yes, but not if you
Yeah.
don't give me enough time. So
Right.
lo and behold, I contact the VA, after my retirement date, and they're like, yeah, man, like obviously everyone I've talked to, they're super helpful and like they want to help you, but the rules are the rules. Like if you don't submit 90 days prior, then you have to submit a normal claim.
Yeah.
And right now we're looking at 8 to 12 months, right? So I have these ongoing
Mm.
issues for which I was on limited duty for, that I can't get treatment for until it's approved. So it could be up to a year. So that's kind of why I'm like, anybody getting out, like don't prioritize work, don't prioritize trying to impress your boss and get a good, EN fit rep or something like that. Like if you have health problems, like take care of that stuff. Go to medical, get your stuff documented, and get your claim submitted before you EAS or retire or separate, because then you're going to be waiting.
Yeah.
So
are they still doing like the back pay stuff? So like
yeah,
if you
so
already submitted it, you'll get back pay for whatever, for that time lost, right?
yeah, so I had to, so you got to request your like electronic record and all that, and
Yeah.
I didn't know that took a little bit of time, so I did that in January, and I think I got it towards the end of February.
Okay. Good.
So I got that towards the end of February, and then was able to send that into the VSO, and obviously a 22-year career, like my medical records, not huge as some other ones I've seen, but it's a lot of stuff to go through, and the VSOs are dealing with more than one person. They're just not supporting you. And honestly, their priority is to support the Marines that are still on active duty, at least from the Marine perspective.
Mhm.
Right. So like me, this guy who's already retired, who isn't getting a BDD rating,
Right.
I'm kind of on the bottom of the pile for that. So, but yeah, I submitted the intent. The VSO had me submit the intent to file, and I submitted that in March. So whatever I end up getting, it'll be backdated to March, is my understanding.
Yeah. And I just want to put this out there for everybody since we're on this topic, and it's very unfortunate. And I don't know why they don't have some kind of exception to policy or some kind of way that you can get around that 90-day cutoff if you happen to get your orders at like the 30-day mark, or even even a little bit further out from that. But this is something for sure that the VA maybe needs to address, or at least take a look at and figure out what happens when people screw around with people's careers and screw around with their retirement and don't give them the orders. But I do want to point out, like, yes, the BDD is the absolute best time to put your VA claim in, and the very second best time is within that first 12 months. So I think you should be good as long as you've got all your paperwork together, as long as you go through and do that kind of like head to toe thing that we talk about, where you're checking every little box along the way: mental health, vision,
Yeah.
hearing, respiratory, musculoskeletal, and all that stuff. And then actually having like the documented paperwork for it. And I don't know, in this case, maybe it's like if there's some of the things that you need to be seen for, like you could potentially get seen for them, submit that paperwork along with your claim. That way you've got something that's right there, ready, relevant. But yeah, this is a kind of a nut job. just listening to it is a nut job.
Yeah. It's complicated. I mean, I think in studying kind of the way they do it, and really, I mean, like we all know what TRS is. Like it's almost one of those check in the box things. Yes, they give you great, valuable tools, and the speakers are awesome and helpful. But I don't know what everyone's mindset is, but I know what mine was. Kind of when I'm going, especially with a short time frame, it's like, all right, I just got to get through this class. Like I'm going to take notes, a little bit of notes, and then kind of worry about the next thing. So yeah, because you only learn so much there, but I didn't learn as much as I know now about the VA process than I did. I had to do my own research, I guess is what I'm saying. And
dude, let me ask you, man, how often have you looked at those notes from TRS after you got out?
I don't even know where. Yeah, I mean, I know where they are, but yeah, I mean, the only time that I needed it was the only time I looked at the notes was to get the paperwork to go get signed off on for my final physical. Like that was
right. Yeah, like I don't know where I put my stuff, man. It's good in the moment, right? Because you're there with other people who are going through the whole process. People ask questions and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's how often do you look at that stuff? A lot of it is done on the outside as you're networking, as you're talking to other folks. Hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? I mean, how often do people go back and ask the TRS coordinators, how do I do this? Yeah, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, nobody wants, and they probably don't want to be bothered about you anyway. So they got a line of lance corporals and sergeants trying to EAS.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I agree. So you are in Cali right now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, San Diego area, and
okay, very cool.
We're gonna stay here. I know you're you're local to the area as well. I don't know where you're at, John.
I'm over in Sicily on the other side of the planet.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. Sigonella cool. Is the basis right here.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sent a few Marines that way and a couple Mews. So special mag taps.
And they probably had a great time.
I'm sure they did. Yeah, I think they went to Malta and all that stuff. So
I've bumped into a couple Marines while I've been here who've been coming through on these like 3-month, 6-month rotations just to hang out and then do their thing and then go back home.
Nice.
It's funny how you can spot them from so far away, right? Like John, I remember when I was in Florence, I was waiting to go into I don't know if it was a bar or what. It was with some friends and my wife, and we were standing in line, and I see just up a couple folks in front of us. There was like a couple high and tights up there, I'm like, and I go, hey devil dog. And they went to go turn around, but they didn't, right? Yeah, exactly. They went to go turn around, but they caught themselves real quick. So yeah, it's funny, but yeah, they're out there, man. They're out there. They're just, they blend into the crowd. You can catch them by the high and tights.
That's it's hard to get away from that, like that. Hey, devil, like no matter what, like you still bring it back.
Yeah.
Michael, I want to bring this up specifically for you if you haven't seen this before. We've mentioned this on the show already and brought it up on the show, but this is called veteransbenefitskb.com. And so generally speaking, I know you've already started to go through this process and look at things like the 38 CFR and all that to find the codes for everything, find the rating schedule for everything, and like what is this rate at this schedule, and 30% and 60%, et cetera, et cetera. This site is created through a bunch of folks that run the Reddit, I believe. They run the Reddit site for veterans. And they put together all this information. So it's just a big amalgamation of a lot of information, but specifically, if you're looking for VA master condition list is what I'm looking at. So there's a thing called master condition list on here, and you can just basically go A to Z and you could pull it up, and then you can literally just Control F and find what you're looking for. And then let's say we're looking for migraines, if I can spell right. Migratory, I don't know. Let's see. Migraines, headaches, migraines as just an example. And you click on that, and essentially it gives you like all the stuff, right? Here's the minimum rating. If there's any other rating schedules, it gives you the the rating code, which is very important to have. If
Mhm.
you don't have that, it's hard to identify, especially if you're trying to go back and um, revisit some things that maybe got denied or didn't get properly rated. That having that code when you're going back to talk to a VSO or trying to get that stuff straightened out is very important. But yeah, this is a great site, and it has everything in one place, so you don't have to go hunting around the VA website and digging through their documents and figuring out if you have to go to the CFR or the ECFR. Like, it's all right here in one spot. Just for your knowledge and for those folks out there who are listening or watching as well.
Yeah, thank you, John. Yeah, I made a note of that. I'm going to definitely check that out. Seems like it'll be a little bit easier to navigate through that. That website looks a bit more intuitive than trying to go through the 38 CFR.
Yeah, that's a good one too. I mean, I wish I would have known that when I was getting out, because I was like digging through everything I could find, man. Like the DSM-5 and CFR. I'm trying to put one and two together, trying to figure things out, how I can best explain it to the doctors and all this stuff. But yeah, that's a very good website, man. Thank you. Do you have the link to that, John?
Yeah, I'll throw it down in the bottom here in a second. But yeah, they just published this website maybe a month or two ago. It's really recent, but the Reddit group is where you can go and ask a bunch of questions, and people talk about their disability ratings and all that kind of stuff. Also, if you don't know, the CivDiv, who we've had on the show before, excellent resource for anything VA claims related. He's got all the information. He puts out videos like almost 5 times a day, it seems like. It's a little crazy, but he does do it full time.
That DRP, man, that DRP.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, for me, it's not about the compensation. It's about the medical care. Like, that's what I care about. I care about getting that medical care, right? Like, it's not about whatever rating it's kind of about the rating, because if you don't get certain high enough rating, you don't get the care. But for me, it's about like having that medical care, right? For like injuries you sustained while on active duty or while support, you know what I mean? So
yeah, like if you get your 100%, 100% PNT, then you get dental care. You know, so that's huge. That's huge, right? I'll be honest, man. I have TRICARE Prime, right? Like for the family, it's what, $65 a month or something like that. My family uses that. You know, I have not touched that at all for myself. The VA, I go to the VA for everything. And again, I'm here in San Diego. I have a choice of like La Jolla or Kearny Mason, all that. So a lot of VA clinics, sometimes they send you to one or the other. But it's so much easier to use the VA than anything else, man. They do everything for you. You need a referral, we'll punch that in there. You go through the messaging website, just send them a message. Hey, I need a refill on this, or I need to, or, my hip hurts, or whatever the ailment is. They mail you your prescriptions the next day. So I open my mailbox. It's there. I'm like, oh, this is great. This is great. Now I can't tell you what it's going to be like with this whole drawdown and people like leaving the VA or getting terminated. I don't know. So the care might go down, the care might go up. I don't know. But as of right now, my experience with the VA, at least here in SoCal, has been amazing. Not even having to touch my TRICARE Prime or referrals or anything like that. They send me to acupuncture, chiropractor, all that stuff. In the military, you got to go through like all these different channels just to go to like a chiropractor. Oh, you got to go to physical therapy for like 6 months. And if you don't get better, then we'll send you to a chiropractor. No, not here, man. They're like, you got to go. Let me write you up for that real quick. Just, an appointment with your doc. Tell us what's going on. If you need a chiropractor, bam, we got you.
So for your experience, it's been better than essentially being on active duty. Like when you go to the clinic or the base, whatever.
Yeah. When it comes to referrals, it has been better, because then you don't have to go through all these different channels of going to physical therapy for several iterations, several months, right? It's like right off the bat, okay, you need it, talk to a doc about it, we'll write you a referral for it. I don't have to stand in line to go get my medication. It's mailed to me. Dental care, they just kind of, they write you a referral. Dentist office is like 2 blocks down, easy. So it's been better than I thought it would be. Just looking online, seeing like all the nightmare stories about the VA. I think that's like ones and twos.
Yeah.
At least here in Southern California, it is like very, very good. It might be because there's a huge veteran population out here too.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's in between 2 big bases, Miramar and Pendleton, and I think there's a VA
Mhm.
facility in Oceanside too, but I'm not sure. I know there's one in Kearny
It might
Mesa,
be.
but I'm not yeah, I gotta look that up.
Yeah, yeah.
But
The Kearny Mason one is kind of small. The La Jolla one is huge. It's like a huge hospital, right? So it's yeah, it's very, very good, man. I've not had one bad experience with the VA, except for like when I went to go make an appointment the first time around. Um, it was like I tried to make the appointment in June, last June. Like, oh yeah, our first opening is for, it was for optometry. That's what it was. But our first opening is for September. I was like, God, September, So that's when I used my actual or not TRICARE. My wife is a federal employee. We have optometry through her stuff. I used that, but then I got a second pair through the VA once September came around.
nice.
So very good though. Aside from that,
That's something I couldn't do before I got out. Yeah, same thing on active duty. They were like, I tried to make an optometry appointment as a part of my final physical, and they're like, yeah, I think in it was January, and they're like, yeah, we don't have anything until like May 1st or first week of May, and I'm like, first week of May. But yeah,
yeah,
that's just
I
how it is.
anticipate all that stuff is going to get backed up a little bit, man. Because
Yeah,
like I told John, right? I was a federal employee. I'm technically still am on the rolls as a federal employee, right? I took the DRP, the Deferred Resignation Program. Um, I just saw the writing on the wall, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get freaking terminated anyway, potentially, from what I'm hearing. So might as well take the DRP. But with that, um, what was I going to get into? God damn, I forgot where I was going with this. ADHD, man. It'll come back to me. It'll come back to me.
yeah. But yeah, so I mean, just to kind of yeah, I mean, once my retirement hit, like I would say that it was like a pretty dark place, right? Like it doesn't really hit
Yeah,
you. Like I don't know when it actually hit you, whether it was, the first like before you actually retired, but for me, I feel like I'm still kind of battling through it a little bit. But it has gotten better. I got lucky as far as like finding employment because I
right.
know a lot of people on LinkedIn, that I've kind of seen like they've been unemployed for a while or they retired
That's
and they
right.
don't
They do.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they don't have jobs yet. Like they, and you look at their resumes and it's like, man, this guy's got a lot of experience. Like, what's the deal? So I feel like I got lucky. I mean, I applied to like 3 jobs and all at the same company,
Mhm.
ironically, and they for one of those jobs worked out for me. So without that, I mean, yeah, I don't know where I'd be. I could be unemployed right now, kind of just living off my military pension and whatever. But yeah, I mean,
Right.
I just in that aspect, I feel like I got lucky as far as civilian job transition because the timeline is just ridiculous. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. 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 So, and you've been working for what, about 3 months now?
yeah, so my retirement date was February 1st, and then I started working the second week of March. So I had about 6 weeks
Okay.
off in
Okay.
between. Yeah.
Good. Good. So, yeah, what I found, I've had maybe 2 civilian jobs since I got out, and I found that I'm antsy every time. Like I do a year here, and I'm like, all right, what's next? What's next?
Yeah.
Like, because you're not dealing with, or at least for me, I wasn't dealing with like these young Marines who are like need guidance, and that's really what I loved, right? Like guide people, mentor people, coach people, things like that.
Yeah.
So it's like working with civilians is a lot different, especially civilians that are like my age. Right? I'm like, okay, well, what's next? What's next? So
Yeah.
this last
Yeah.
one, I was, I just saw the writing on the wall, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just move on and see what's next. And
Yeah.
then here I am, just dedicating the time to the YouTube channel. But
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully everything works out with that job, man. Because I know a lot of folks, especially on LinkedIn, they bounce around, and then
Yeah.
you always see that little green banner on there,
Yeah.
open to
Yeah.
work, and which is fine, right? But that's a big part of it is networking too. Like, who do you know? It's not about what
Exactly.
you know, really. It's who you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah, and so far so good. I mean, the people are really like you said, that it's definitely different. I guess I'm still working through that adaptation period between dealing with the Marines and sailors as to dealing with civilians. There are a lot of veteran. I mean, you can look at my LinkedIn, which company I work at. It's a DoD contractor, so um, there's a lot of veterans that work there. But yeah, it's like it's funny though. Some of the issues are relative, right? It's just not Marine Corps related. It's civilian life related, but the overlying issues that I'm assisting with as an HR professional, which is I think the civilian equivalent of what I did as a personnel officer mainly is. But yeah, it's pretty. A few of the things I've assisted with or helped with is like, oh yeah, I remember I did something like this, right? So we do fit reps on the military side and annual, but on the civilian side they just call it an annual evaluation, right, or a performance or annual performance review type thing. So and that's a big part of what we do, both in the mill. Is that what the Army calls it too? You guys have the fitness reports, or they call it something different?
We do evaluations, basically.
Okay. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, so far the people are great though. Like I can't say anything bad about anybody that I work with on the civilian side, and I know that doesn't always happen. Like sometimes people take a job because they have to. They absolutely have to get a job and they have to get income to support their family, so they just take anything that's available, and it doesn't work out. But yeah, like my entire leadership team is been great. But going from being like the director of HR though to like I guess not necessarily an entry level, but like a mid-level position is different, right? Like instead of making a lot of decisions and having the autonomy to kind of to guide your staff, it's almost like, yeah, I do a lot more processing now. So I think that's been the biggest challenge for me, has been that aspect of it. But I mean, the hours are definitely better. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I'm sure that
there's
you
no
traveled
sleeping in
a
the
ton.
office anymore.
No, I don't have to sleep on the freaking cot anymore. I wish I do have a picture. I mean, I would put it up there, but I used to send pictures back home, and I'd be like,
Should
"Yep,
put on the thumbnail for the YouTube.
I should have took that with me as like a going away gift." But yeah. I
You
still
didn't
got to
think
get a
about it?
retirement. Yeah, I still plan to do a retirement ceremony. I know it's not ideal to do one after, but I think my family deserves that.
Yeah.
So I'll probably do that on Pendleton. I don't know, maybe in the summer or the fall, but yeah, the unit I left is super supportive. I gotta reach out to them and see if they're still willing to do that.
Yeah, it definitely is for the family, man. It really is. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed having like my wife and kids there receive their little awards, present my mother and my mother-in-law. They all came for the
Yeah.
a lot of folks came for the retirement ceremony, but giving them flowers,
Mhm.
give my dad a gift, give him like a Stein, Marine Corps Stein that I got. It was like a limited edition thing at the exchange.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but it was, it was very, very cool experience for them. It was more for them, right? Because then they've supported you through your entire career.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm
absolutely.
getting a retirement ceremony, but it's good to honor them as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
I completely agree, man. Let me know, dude. I'd stop by.
Yeah,
retirement.
I'll send
That's
an
awesome.
invite. I mean, I don't know if John's making that trip from Sigonella, but
I'll have him in my
definitely
pocket on
Right, I may
FaceTime.
be there. We don't know.
if you're in the area during then yeah, absolutely. The more the merrier. But yeah, I mean, it's really not for me. It's for the families to say thank you for all the support and your former leaders and all that and your mentors. So yeah, I look forward to that, and I don't know, I'm still kind of somewhat in a legal battle with kind of the things that transpired. Not really sure how to move forward with that right now. It's part of me just wants to kind of move on, and a part of me wants to fight. So
Yeah.
I'm still in limbo on that aspect, but
Mhm.
right now it is what it is. So
So I was going to ask,
mean, if you-
what's next
Oh,
for?
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, John. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna just really quickly ask, like, if you were to fight back and do some of that legal action, like, what kind of things are you looking at, or is that something you don't want to disclose? That's also
no, yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah, I have talked to a couple lawyers in the San Diego area, and they're like, yeah, absolutely, you have a case, but obviously, like, no guarantees, right? So, you gotta front a lot of cash, to kind of retain an attorney for something you may or may not win. So, obviously I feel like the odds would be in my favor to get a favorable outcome, but at this, what am I fighting for, right? Like I would like to, so they disapproved my rank waiver, right? Which I think was kind of BS. So I think if anything, I'd like to fight for that. I did fill the higher rank billet for 4 years, right, as a junior rank, and I was only like 3 months short. So that's why I requested a summer 25 retirement date, because I was like, all right, well, I at least want to retire in this grade. So, I mean,
So
that's
what,
probably
what does that mean? What you mean, like you were filling in like a 5 billet?
I was filling a 4 billet.
Fill it. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I was filling a
All right.
4 billet, and as a 3, and then I got promoted to 4. And when I retired, I needed to make it to June to get the 2 years in grade, and that's why I requested that retirement date. But they obviously denied that. So, but yeah, that's a BCNR process, and kind of going through that. But the lawyers suggested, the lawyers got some friends that work for the government now, but I don't know. It's like, do you
It's
keep
going to be a
fighting?
long process, man.
Yeah.
I mean, Michael versus U.S. government, man. It's going to be
Yeah,
a long process.
you know what I mean? And it's, do I just kind of accept things for what they are and move on, or do you want to, I feel like people should be held accountable, but how much effort do you want to put into that, and how much more stress do you want to dedicate to, to that cause, right? So
yeah.
BCNR. I mean, BCNR is like, I've already decided, like, that's gonna happen. I'm going to submit the request to them, but the lawyer was like, hey, I'm gonna get you reinstatement, and like, we can get you reinstated and then get you proper time to actually separate and retire. And it's like, I mean, what are you going to come back in after you're out for freaking 6 months? I mean, that's like, what would that be like?
Right.
Like,
Right.
So that's kind of why it's just one of those things.
Because that's one thing I've learned too, as I got out, was letting things go a little bit more. Because how much effort do I really want to put into things that happened in the past? Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a ton of things, right? Like there is one thing that always remains in my mind, and so I never got an award for it was a humanitarian service medal, and I never got that award. And I was like, okay, well, let me write up something for that. But it happened so long ago, my first duty station, that I was like, are they even going to remember it? Are they going to, is my name even on the rolls anymore for whatever, a logbook entry or whatever? So yeah, but after a while, I'm like, how much do I even care about it right now? I know what I did. Is it worth the effort and the mental effort to kind of to have that always in the back of my mind? And I just like kind of learned to kind of let it go. Not saying that you should let it go. If you really want to fight it, definitely do that. But I'm just telling you, over time, I have personally learned to let things go, because they do weigh heavily. They do tend to stay in the back of my mind, and then I cannot function correctly mentally if I'm constantly thinking about something else.
Right. Yeah. Again, like, this entire situation has been like a huge mental drain on not just me, but like my family and like them around me. And it's like, we're finally, to a point where I'm not going to say that I have closure, because I don't feel like I have closure. I believe that a man's true pride is in his ability to choose his own end. And I feel like that was somewhat taken away from me, and I couldn't control it. So like, I still feel something towards that, but sometimes your hopes and dreams have to be kind of shattered to kind of lead you to something better, or lead you to potential for something better in the future. And kind of that's really how I've been trying to look at things, moving forward, and at least being present in my family's life. And since I've been back, like, I feel like everybody's improved health wise and mentally. So obviously, me being gone put a huge strain on the family, and prioritizing my career over my family, that's kind of another big ticket to take. Like, sometimes you don't have a choice. Like, if you're in the Marine Corps and you have 18 years in, you know, and you can't do Terra, or I think they're getting rid of that program anyway, but you can't do Terra, and you really don't want to give up a pension, you know, you kind of have to make sacrifices, but you know, at what cost? Like I missed 3 years of my son's life. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Like I can't, like you can't go back. You can't go back and get that time, right? Like you can't,
Right.
you know, so.
So I'm curious about what is your, I mean, you've gone through a whole lot of stuff with the Marine Corps. Are you angry at the Marine Corps? How do you feel about that?
No, like I have zero angst towards the Marine Corps at all. Like honestly, it's one person. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's kind of
Okay.
it's one person that kind of orchestrated this whole thing. And again, there are more details to the story, obviously on a live stream. I'm not gonna like name drop people,
Right?
But yeah, there's definitely
don't.
You know, like if you wanted to read it, I can send you the congruent. I have no problem doing that. Like I can send it to you privately, and you can read it and kind of see what's in there. You know, it's significant document, but yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I have zero, like the Marine Corps has been good to me, has been good to my family. Like I understand sometimes things don't work out the way that you want them to be, but the thing that I have a problem with is where there is corruption, right? And where there is dishonesty at the highest levels. And, you know, it's really one or two people that I have an issue with. It's not the Marine Corps, you know. I love the Marine Corps. Like a lot of my biggest mentors are sounds like a ping pong ball.
It is. Yeah. The kids are playing ping pong. I got them a freaking ping pong set and they won't stop playing now.
That's awesome.
Text them real
At
quick.
least they use it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I'm curious, what's next for Michael?
Yeah.
You looking to do some travel or what are you doing?
Yeah. Maybe something. Got a little trip planned this summer for the family, going out to the East Coast, but yeah, just kind of trying to get my feet wet in the new job and just continue kind of learning, and right, because it's a process as you transition to a civilian job, and you know
that's right.
You know, I did actually apply for a job on Camp Pendleton. It was like a DPC, right, like a position, and it's funny, once that was in the beginning of February, and right after the new administration took over, that job was out there. I applied for it. I got an email saying, "Hey, we're going to set up an interview for you." And then like 2 days later, they sent me another email and they're like, "Oh, the job has been removed." So,
man.
Yeah. So I'm happy that I went with, you know, that I got lucky with a private company. You know, because I don't have to really worry about, you know, if you work for DOD or you work, you know, one of those jobs, you never know it right now. You never know what they're going to come back or what they're going to try and do. So I saw the post last week about the 4-star generals getting reduced, and you know, so
a lot of changes, man. A lot of changes.
Who's next? I don't know. Who's next?
Yeah. Well, I mean, what they're trying to do is make, for every 4 jobs that they cut, they're gonna dumb it down to 1 job. So one person is going to do the job of 4 people. So like when I left, I was a facilities manager. So I managed the naval facilities across several naval stations. And when I got removed from that, or when I took the DRP, that all goes to 1 person, you know, so like all those naval stations. I kind of felt bad doing it, but I'm like, well, I got to do what's right for my family and I, you know, so that's what's happening.
Change? Or is the compensation take the same, or I guess stay the same? Like, are they paying that individual who's taking over?
Oh, no. They're still a GS-13, so it doesn't go up.
Okay,
it doesn't go up. So it's just more on their plate, right?
Yeah.
They may rate more awards, right, for whatever jobs well done or whatever. You get monetary awards, you know, in federal government. They may rate more awards. However, whether or not, unless they apply for another position, they stay the same rate.
Okay. Yeah. So I wonder what the theory behind that is. Is it like, hey, we have these 4 positions. We really don't feel like those individuals have enough responsibility to justify their pay rating. So we'll take them away. Like
that's what it sounds like.
Okay.
That's what it sounds like. Because every week, and John, I don't know if you had to do this with being in your position, but you had to submit, and I don't know if they're still doing it this month. It was 5 bullet points on what
They
you've
call it
done the
5 Bullet
previous
Friday.
week. Yeah, 5 bullet Friday, right? I think they're due by the following Tuesday or Monday or something like that. But usually you just do it by the end of the week, so you keep it fresh in your mind. So you would submit 5 bullet points on what you've done that week or the previous week if you're sending it on a Monday. And I don't like I've managed people. I've managed 12 folks during my time, and they go pretty in depth on what they're doing. My first 5 bullet points was literally I was just taking it from my PD, my position description, and just putting what I'm supposed to do. It kind of like a fit rep. Here's what I'm supposed to be doing, and I would just copy and paste it. This is what I've been doing. And then my manager was like, "Yeah, I see what you did there. But I think you're supposed to write what you're actually doing." I'm like, everything that is on my position description is what I'm doing. But like actually write what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't
I
see
had
how
to
you'd
change
be
it up a little
wrong
bit.
if you do that.
Right, exactly, right. So I don't know. Just got a little talking to about that. But no, man, it is what it is. And if things are moving, things are shaking up, for better or for worse, whatever it is. The one thing, like I mentioned to John earlier in the show, one thing that I love that's happening is that Los Angeles, the West Los Angeles VA facility or the campus. I don't know if you heard about that, Michael. So it's a 388-acre campus meant for veterans, but a large portion of that is being leased out to UCLA's baseball team for their baseball stadium and the field, and a large portion is being leased out to the Brentwood School for their school, the sports complex grounds and all that. So now they're going to cancel those leases, and they're going to be bringing back all that land for the VA complex or the campus. That's supposed to house about 6,000 homeless veterans. That's supposed to provide like medical care for them. Just all encompassing of what a VA medical center, what you think it is, it's going to be that. Because if you're driving down LA, man, there's so many homeless folks. I'm sure you've been up to LA, living in Southern California, and you've seen the amount of homeless folks in tents that line the streets and under the bridges. It's insane. So I'm so glad that they're going to have a chance to actually do something with this, man, because it's been a long time coming, and it kind of pisses me off when I'm driving down and I'm like, damn, look at all these folks. I don't have enough time to dedicate to all this, to everybody. The government at some point in time has to get involved with this.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So can't wait to see that. I think there's been a judge ruling that has stopped. I had to look it up a little bit, but they did something with the UCLA. They're like, yeah, you cannot expand on this anymore. Like they put a pause on whatever they were trying to do with the baseball field. So things are happening. The wheels are in motion now. So I'm excited to see where it's going to go next.
Yeah. And just to I saw one of your posts earlier in the week where you tracked down that the individual's medals from the Navy. That was awesome, man. Like awesome research and
oh yeah. Thank you.
Like
that is shout out to Master Chief Joseph Valentine Neuroder. Yeah. He was also a Purcell during the Korean War era and Vietnam War era. I found his medals at a thrift shop, man. And actually, it was Fox here in San Diego reached out, and they were like, "Yeah, we want to write a story on this." So I sent them some photos and stuff, and some reporter called me earlier in the week. But yeah, it was cool, man. It was like I just kept the medals here on my desk, and I'm like, huh. And they have a name written on the back, so I looked them up. He had Mount Soledad. He has a little plaque up there. That's over here in San Diego, and then he's buried out in Miramar National Cemetery. So I figured, like I've got time on my hands now. I don't really have to go into my 9-to-5 job because I took the DRP. Let me go drive over to the cemetery on a Friday and go, pay him a visit.
Yeah. Was it hard to find? I know it's alphabetical, but was it kind of hard to find they all look the same?
It was. I mean, it took me about 30 minutes to kind of go
Okay.
through all of them
Yeah.
because they have them sectioned off. So when I found them on Find a Grave on that site, uh, I mean, it was pretty simple. They're like, hey, yeah, section so and so. I can't remember what it was, but within that section, they're not alphabetical, you know. They're just it's just a sea of headstones. I had to like
Yeah.
go through each one, each row, and try to find him. But sure enough, I found him. He was on the edge there, and um, you know, at the I kind of felt weird doing a video of it because they were doing funeral honors,
Mhm.
like just a few sections down.
Yeah.
And but I got a chance to see it was like for an Air Force veteran. I got a chance to see that, which I love because I did. I was on funeral detail for about 6 months when I was in Camp Lejeune, so I love watching that. You
Yeah.
know, reciting the you know what you tell the next of kin as you take a knee and then give them the flag. You know, so I've
Yeah.
done that many times, but it was cool to see, man, from the
Yeah.
outside in. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Being on I&I duty for, you know, the better part of my career. Yeah. It's like, it's always an honor to go out there and do it. And, you know, like even when you get, you know, the requests that come in, it's always like Black Friday or Thanksgiving weekend. It's, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But the family's not thinking about what day it is, right? They're thinking about their loved ones. So it's always an honor to kind of go out there and take part in the ceremony and
yeah, yeah,
present the flags to the next of kin. So
yeah. So I was happy to bring those medals home, man. I really was.
did anybody from his family ever reach out or not really?
No, so I during on and off I did research for about a year or so. You know, just looking online. I probably messaged maybe like 5 or 6 people with the same last name, just wondering like, hey, are you related to this person? Because he's married. He's buried with his wife. So I don't know if he had kids or what, but somebody had to have
Yeah.
put a plaque on Mount Soledad for him. You know,
Yeah.
so you know, I reached out to a couple folks, no answer. But you know, again, this is through Facebook, so the message goes to like another inbox they probably never check. So I don't know. I got no answer. I got nothing. So a lot of folks after the fact, they were like, hey, why don't you make a plaque? And I'm like, well, yeah, I should have thought of that. But my first thing was go visit the guy because I've never seen, you know, I've never been to his headstone or to his grave. So I'm hoping that somebody visits his grave at some point and sees, oh, here's his medals on top of his headstone. You know, maybe we should take it home with us. Or maybe like you know, the groundskeepers come and grab it, turn it into the front desk, and then they call his next of kin. So I'm sure they have that on file somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's just, yeah, it's awesome that you did that and kind of dedicated your time to, you know, returning
Yeah,
those
man, it
medals.
was,
I just thought that was a really good thing.
yeah, it was good. Thank you. Well, awesome, man. Uh, I guess what normally what we ask here is what kind of, in closing, what kind of message do you want to send out to folks who may be encountering the same situations that you encounter, or maybe are getting out of the military and may want to have a smoother transition? What kind of
Yeah,
message do you want to
yeah.
send
I
them?
just, I think it's timing. It's you know, plan. And again, I know things happen, and not everybody can plan out. But I'd say you got to give yourself at least 6 months to kind of get through the transition process and get all of the stuff done. You have to prioritize, you know, yourself, like whether you have injuries or you know, medical conditions or not. Like just transition, being able to transition your, you know, just your mind from the military to your civilian sector. And if you have a family, you know, taking care of them, right, doing the things that you need to support your family are the most important. You know what I mean? It's not staying late at work. It's not trying to impress your boss for that Indoor award. Like none of that matters. Like no one's going to care when you're gone, but you and your family will care if you don't do what you need to do to get out, right? To best, like it's never going to be easy. You know what I mean? I haven't really talked to many people that are like, oh yeah, it was awesome. Like I walked into this job and I make 350K a year. Like I haven't met anybody like that. I'm sure it happened, but you know, I don't know them. But I think that's rare. I think most people struggle when they get out, you know, with the transition, especially with the VA stuff. And the VA is there to, at least in my experience, the VA is there to help you, right? Everyone I've talked to throughout my transition has been helpful and insightful and giving me good guidance. You know, I don't always like the answers I get, but you know, they're wholesome. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Like, you have to prioritize taking care of yourself. You know, I think Marshawn Lynch said it right. Like, you got to get your chicken right and you got to get your mentals right. So, you know, I just think that's one of my favorite quotes of all time, actually. So, you know,
I like that.
but yeah, taking care of you and your family and prioritizing that stuff is the number one thing. And it's really the reason I wanted to come on here today. You know, you have to give yourself that time, and your unit will understand. I mean, there's processes in place that allow you as a transitioning service member to have the time allotted to you to take care of this stuff. So, you know, I'd say most units will accommodate any request you have to take care of medical and, you know, TRS and all this transitional stuff, attend the seminars, the job fairs, all that stuff. The resume writing, again, if you're on Pendleton, I'm sure Miramar has it similar, but the people I work with on Camp Pendleton, as far as like the jobs and resume writing, those guys are awesome. Like, they give you templates, they give you all of the documents, you know, all of the resources you need to get a good resume and how to write it, and they'll even edit it for you and make corrections, and then so you can get a finalized product. But that's the message that I would deliver.
That's excellent, man. Yeah, we really, really appreciate your time coming on. It's great to meet with you, interact with you. If you ever want to come back on the show and give us an update about how the VA stuff goes or anything like that, or even anything really, if you ever want to come back on and give us an update, we'd love to have you back on again. Just before we get out of here, you want us to point people to your LinkedIn if they want to reach out to you or connect with you or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's fine. Yeah, for sure.
I'll just throw it up on the screen real quick. Everybody can write it down or take a screenshot, or if you're listening, I guess you have to go and watch the video to see it. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Anyone listening that have questions, supplemental questions, you know, I'd be happy to, you know, connect with anyone on LinkedIn and kind of talk to them and give them my perspective on, you know, whatever their questions are. But and thanks to you guys. I know it's Mother's Day. You know, I know you want to get to your families and all that. So, you know, I really appreciate you guys having me on and giving me the opportunity to kind of share my story and, you know, provide some guidance to, you know, transitioning service members. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for your perspective. I mean, it's a unique one, right? But I'm sure that other people who maybe don't have an outlet, who have not made a video, or who have not shared their story, I'm sure somebody out there has gone through a similar situation. So it's refreshing to hear a different perspective. It really is.
Yeah.
So we definitely thank you for that.
Absolutely. And thanks again for what you guys do. You know, I'll continue to be a weekly listener on your Sunday podcast. I've been doing that for a couple months now, and it's always good information. And, you know, just kind of, even if we're not, you know, sending out information about something, like, you guys are just the conversations are good, you know, and they help you reflect. And I just think it's a good way to help someone who's transitioning, right? Just to kind of reflect back on careers and, you know, things that happen. So I really appreciate what you guys do. You know, I know that this is your weekend. This is your time probably with your family and all that. And you guys are dedicating, you know, all this time to kind of helping others. So I really appreciate that.
Oh yeah, thank you very much, man. It's a plus that it's fun and to hang out with other veterans. So John's always a great time. You know, all our guests are always a great time. So that makes it all the much better.
Yeah. Hey, John, if I ever take a trip to Sicily to stay at the White Lotus, I'll look you up so we can hang out.
Hit me up. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for coming on, Mike.
All right, guys. Thanks again. I appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
You too.
That was a good one, man. Different perspectives. Different. Like I would have never known that something like that happens unless I talked to somebody like Michael, right? Just put through the ringer on getting everything done in 30 days. Dude, something that takes, like, we talk about it all the time, something that takes like 2 years to prep,
sometimes,
right? And then there's a timeline and a year out, but to get it done within 30 days, on top of that, you're geobashing your family's over here, you're over here, and you're having to deal with all this. You have to submit a congruent, you have to submit, a request mass, potentially, talk to the general about things. I'm just glad it all worked. It's working out for him. I don't think it has fully worked out, but it's working out for him. I'm glad.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's got its pluses and minuses having your timeline crunched down, but it also throws you off in a couple of situations. But I'm sure it gave him the ability to then, seeing that timeline so short, like be able to focus in and just laser in on what he needed to do. So pluses and minuses, definitely a lot more minuses than pluses. And I'm sure, hopefully he'll get all the stuff taken care of with the VA stuff. Within that first year, usually pretty good. As far as the going back and throwing elbows with the government for whatever reasons. As I was thinking about it, as we were talking about it, I think the only reason I would actually attempt to do that, because like you said, like we've learned to kind of let things roll off our shoulders and kind of be a little bit more lenient about things and not get so bent out of shape. The only thing I can think of that would be beneficial, I mean, of course, getting a ruling in your favor and getting the stuff that you need taken care of if it's something really important. But the other thing would be like, if you get the ruling in your favor, you've set that precedence, right, for folks who come behind you who may end up in that similar situation. So that's really that would be the deciding factor for me, and that'd be a really tough choice because it's a lot of money, it's a lot of time. It's a lot of back and forth, courtrooms.
And it's not a definite thing.
No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah. So that's one takeaway from having Michael on is taking care of you, right? The transition from military to civilian is huge, right? These are real conversations you have to have with your unit if you're getting out. Real conversations you have to have with your leadership. Look, I'm getting out. Let me turn over this to either, whoever it is next in charge or somebody who works for you, who's competent enough to take care of these things for the meantime, while you take care of yourself. Okay. There's a transition period here, and your leadership, when they go to transition as well, they're probably going to do the same thing. So it has to be an honest conversation. I need to take care of number one. Because if not, I'm going to fall on my face and I'm not going to be as effective as I can. I'm not going to get everything done. That is a big thing. When I got out, that was a big conversation I had with my boss. Like I'm turning everything over to this gunnery sergeant, this staff sergeant for the meantime. Yes, my replacement is not here yet because they cannot bring somebody else until you have orders to go somewhere else, right? Or depart the AO. But these are real conversations that I had with my leadership. I'm going to be dedicating a lot of time to going to medical, to filling out these forms, to go into whatever these admin section. That means I'm going to be out of office a lot, but things will get done. And they have to understand that. They have to understand that. So communication is key when it comes to all this.
Yeah. And not only that, having the conversation with yourself to begin with, right? And then, if you want to be able to do that, if you want to be able to have those conversations, you got to arm yourself with the ammunition to go in there and be able to, for anything you want to get done in the military, like you have to come prepared with some stuff already done in the background. You have to have some stuff put together and be able to hand off a smart book, it's one of the questions I used to ask in the interviews a lot was, what did you do to prepare prior to getting out? What kind of information did you leave behind? Did you leave like a folder full of information for the next person coming behind you? I got various answers on that. But if you want to be able to go and talk to your leadership, whatever rank you are when you're getting ready to retire or getting ready to get out, it's always a good idea to get your shit in order first and make sure you have everything kind of spelled out and dropped into folders and kind of outlined, and so that you can pass off a product to your predecessors because then that allows you to say, hey, look, I've done X, Y, and Z. I've got all this stuff put together. This is the jobs that I was taking care of. Here's all the information that I have. Here's all the documentation. I'm giving it to these people so that they can be successful. Now let me go do my damn TRS. Let me go do my
Yeah.
TAP class. Let me go take care of my medical and do my stuff and take care of my family. That, and then the conversation you should have with your family as well, right? They got to be included in that as well. So yeah,
Right,
a lot
right.
of things to think about.
A lot of stuff, man. Yeah, want to give a shout out to Navy Cop again. Navy Cop is always with us. All good information, but having a good support system is always key. Preaching to the choir, of course, which is where TAP and other generic programs that are offered are dropping the ball. Potentially, yes. But I think we will get better as more things are coming to light. People are needing more information, and I think having or making use of things like this podcast or other podcasts, other avenues like that Reddit site that we put out there. There's a lot more information now than there ever was for folks who are getting out. So we cannot just rely on TRS, because they're there really just to kind of give you information based on a contract with the government. We have to make use of everything else, all the other information that's provided to us from different channels. So yeah, 100% Navy Cop. Thank you for sticking around with us, man. Aside from that, John, it's been a great podcast, and I look forward to next week's. I think we have, can't recall who we have next week. We have somebody, I think, but I don't know if I'm going to be on here. I'm going to be participating in a some kind of I don't know what it is, run walk event that my wife signed me up for. So
oh, nice, beautiful.
Yeah, some running across San Diego or walking across San Diego or whatever. So we'll see how that goes for me. But you might be flying solo next week, man. I'll let you know.
Good. I got Navy Cop here to back me up, so we got
right on
place. Yeah, man. Happy Mother's Day to your wife as well.
Mother's Day.
Definitely, for sure. Thanking her every single time for allowing you to come and hang out with me and do this crazy stuff that we do. But yeah,
awesome, man. Well, I appreciate it. Great podcast. Thank you all for listening. And with that, we're out of here.
All right, sounds good. See you.